Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Saturday, June 1st, 2019. My name is Rich, and joining me to cover ANW11 season premiere is Bijan. How are you making out?
Season 11's here, my man. I am feeling fantastic. Great start to the season. Good vibes. I'm loving everything.
It was a great way to kick it off. I always get nervous. I don't know why. I feel like, it's been a while since we covered ANW. We've had a lot of Ninja in between. It's like, is it going to hold up to the hype? Is it going to be as good as I remember? And it always is. It never disappoints.
Bro, same thing. Like, every time. It's not that I'm nervous, but it just creeps up on you. I don't know why. I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready. I'm like, once it was starting, I'm like, and they always do this incredible montage at the beginning of each season, it seems. Dude, it just all came back. I'm like, oh my God, ANW's back. What? So I just had to get in that mode, man, and it was fantastic.
We skipped the shallow end of the pool that everybody else got with the skills challenge this past week. We have not covered that yet. We will get to it. We've had to skip by it with Bijan being out of the state and a little bit not in the great place to be trying to do that kind of coverage. We'll get back to the skills challenge, but we're jumping into the season. Let's just get right into it.
Yeah. Let's get into what everybody wants to hear, man. So, how do you want to do this? You want to start with the changes or the course, or just go into it?
Well, we covered a lot of the changes in our preview episode, but we can kind of run down a couple of things that we saw here. Let's say first off the bat, we didn't talk about last time was Zuri Hall because we didn't really get to see her. Seems pretty good. It's always a little jarring when they bring in somebody new. I think she did a good job.
I think she did a fantastic job. I actually really, really enjoyed her. It's very subtle because, you don't get that much time with them, but she seemed very enthusiastic, and in particular, her facial movements. She just seemed excited, enthusiastic, happy for people. And it's no knock on Christine Leahy or anything, I'm just saying, Zuri did a fantastic job for the very limited amount of time that we saw of her. I'm actually really high up on her.
Yeah, I feel like she was a little more, and again, I don't want to get down on Christine. I thought she did a fantastic job for the years that she was there, but she has a different vibe, right? He kind of seems to get more personable with them, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
The Mega Wall did not disappoint. Was everything we expected and a little more.
Oof,
very, very tough. The 3 attempts. You called it. I'm actually second guessing myself now. I said that someone this season would get it on the 3rd attempt. Now I'm thinking you're right. It looks like it wears them out too much.
Oh yeah, the warped wall itself, really you get one shot and then it's a 50-50 on that second one. It's very rare you see somebody get it on the 3rd because by the 3rd attempt, you're really figuring out technique, right? But the explosiveness is always going to be there and it's always going to be dwindling. For the Mega Wall, I have to imagine most people going for it know the technique. Really what they're figuring out is, or not even figuring out, but trying is how explosive they can get up there. By the 3rd attempt, man, it's just gone. That said, so dramatic, so much tension. I absolutely love it. And man, that Mega Wall seems to be even more daunting and challenging than last season.
Yeah, I don't know if they changed the curve on it. These ninjas that we saw, struggling on it hadn't attempted it last time, so maybe that was a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was everything you could hope for. We'll get into the details of the individual runs, but I felt like, yeah, it accomplished what they wanted. It got me drawn back in. Some of our favorite ninjas were cheering, to have them beat a wall again. It's bringing us right back to the core of the show.
Wow, I didn't even think about that, but that's a good pull. Yeah, it is bringing back finally warped wall, this big thing. And dude, I love the fact that there's a lot of strategy involved. We were talking about it a little bit last week, but I didn't realize how important it would be. there's a lot of strategy involved with, do you go for the warped wall and go for the fastest time, or you go for that mega wall? We saw it multiple times this episode. Somebody skipped the fastest time for that speed run in lieu of going for the $10,000, or vice versa, you know? And I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out for a lot of our top ninjas.
I like that they kind of kept it simple. If you get into the details of it, there's that speed pass is even more important because it helps feed into the safety pass of the city finals. But I like that they just, let's keep it simple. Automatic ticket to Vegas. Everyone can get on board for that. Everyone understands that. Let's get that out of the way. And they didn't even really get into the lower amounts at the beginning of the episode when they introduced the mega wall. It was just like, hey, the mega wall's back. Let's go.
Yeah. If you want more detailed, conversation about all of that, go back to last week's episode. We really went into detail with all of the strategy and all the different things that could happen in terms of all the changes. But I do appreciate they kept it simple, because once you go hammer down, get bogged down with all of the details, it could get a little ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's the big things we saw as far as rule changes and things. What about the obstacles, the shrinking steps? What'd you think of those?
I like them. I mean, it's the first obstacle, but one thing that I really, really respect about them is that there's always fluid movement. Once again, one thing that I know the producers hate are people taking their time, and I gotta say I was guilty of it also when I was on the show. You get for people taking a conservative approach, in particular when it's your first time. One thing that all of the experienced ninjas said for all of us newbies on that season was like, hey, take your time. Don't be that guy that falls on the first step because, you wanted to run through it. The people that run through it are people who have done it multiple times. With this, you kind of just have to go for it. And it really leads a way for the pacing. I mean, we saw this episode. I don't know about you, Rich, but I felt like it was a lot. And I mean by a drastic amount, a lot more fluid in terms of the runs.
Yeah, we didn't have that, slow 2-foot hops across each of the steps. It was just get in and go, and they just moved from obstacle to obstacle as fast as they could. I mean, it's a combination of you can't slow down on that first obstacle, and the people that make it past are trying to get a good time because they want to do what they can to make their placement. It really does seem to speed people through.
Yeah, I mean, it was not just that first obstacle. This whole episode, people were just going through it. I mean, some people were going a little bit slower from one obstacle to another, but it wasn't like somebody stops and takes a break for 30 seconds or anything. I respect that a lot.
Yeah. So the shrinking steps, each one's smaller than the last. You can't really get a good impression of that, though. They say it. My only real beef with them is it loses the impact, right? They skip over them kind of the way you do down and dash, right? You either make it or you don't.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like some of them go downwards, are on a spring, and there's a little bit of changes with them. But, I mean, honestly, I think it's the right amount of difficulty. It weeds out the people that really, I don't know, struggle or whatever, however you want to say it. But the people that should be going through it, acing that obstacle, are acing it. It isn't like one of these fluke types things. I'm all cool with it.
What was your, so as far as difficulty goes, how do you think, did you feel like it took a lot of people out or no?
Well, that first obstacle? No.
It did, though.
Obstacle, though.
Oh. But that's the thing, right? They didn't really play it up like it did. And somebody tweeted at me, oh, shoot, I should get their name here. 1 second. Matthew Punton on Twitter pointed out the stats that got posted to ANW Nation. A quarter of the competitors basically got knocked out by the first obstacle. I
mean, that's par for the course in terms of seasons. I mean, it was the same thing for last season when I was on, honestly. They didn't show it, but I would say half the field fell on the first two obstacles.
That's exactly what it was. Sorry to interrupt, but I was going to say, it was just over half. It was 51, 52 people got knocked out by the first two obstacles.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's a credit to the show. I mean, as much as we like to see everybody on the show, we just don't have time to see everybody failing on the first two obstacles. I mean, it was one of those things where I was telling people, yeah, I got a story and I'm entertaining and all, but hey, if I'm skipped, I'm not gonna be upset. I fell on the second obstacle. And It's just par for the course, man. I'm cool with it.
Walk the plank was the second obstacle, and I like that thing. That crazy ironing board up in the air that they have to jump through to a mini dipper. I thought that was a clever and cool obstacle.
I thought it was really cool. It's funny because at first you're like, oh, this isn't that bad. You know, it's just a balance obstacle where you got to run up the little thing as quickly as possible. But then when you really look at it, like that second portion of it, where it's, as you said, like a double dipper, that's no joke. And it's one of those things where if you don't know what you're doing, you can get slipped up very quickly. And it's also like last year, and I think par for the course in terms of second obstacles, in particular in LA, is it's one of those obstacles where you just get one shot at it. It's one of those transition moving obstacles where you got to go as fast as you can for it and hope for the best. And obviously, it's not luck based like I kind of alluded to. It does involve a lot of skill, but I think what I'm saying is like the margin for error is very slim.
What were you taking as your odds on that one? Since I know you weren't a big fan of the crayon. What about this one? Do you think you would have been okay with that one?
I mean, I say yeah, but I mean, what do I would have said I could do the crayon, honestly. Little did I know that I'd forget to wrap my legs around the darn thing. So it's one of those things where the margin for error is low, and if you aren't perfect and remember every single part of the technique, you're in the water. An armchair quarterback or whatever you want to say, like sitting from here, of course I can always say I could do it, but who knows? I would say this: if I had multiple attempts at a gym or something like that, 100% I could do it. But when the spotlight's on and everybody's watching and everything, you just never know.
Yeah, it's not easy, I'm sure. What's kind of funny is like then we hit the third obstacle, and again it's something new, and I was like, is every obstacle this season going to be new? Because I was floored, and they were good. Right? Like shrinking steps. I'm like, all right, cool. That makes sense. Yeah. Walk the plank. I like that one. And then they bring spring forward. And I'm like, that might be my favorite of the episode, actually.
That is such a weird obstacle, right? Like, it's just so awkward and weird. And I don't know. I love it because it's so weird. And it's one of those obstacles where the approach is not easy, but it's obvious, right? It's like, hey, you got to do two swings. They're on springs, go for it. But the movements are so awkward. I mean, I can't even imagine what it must be like to be on those things. Because for a ninja, in particular, like gymnasts and things like that, like you've been on these types of bars many times, but the little springs and all the swinging that mess up your movement, that can be really frustrating, I have to imagine.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It reminded me of the wing nuts in a way. That it was like it was a very clear, simple movement, but it was one that they hadn't really practiced. It's something different to kind of throw them off. Like, how good are your laches when it's the whole thing's kind of bouncing around on you and you can't hit the normal groove that you're used to.
Oh yeah, and once again, there's technique involved. I mean, the further down you go, the more it's going to spring and be harder for you. But the higher up you go, there's kind of like these padding like areas, kind of like I forgot the name of the battering ram. It's kind of like the battering ram type thing where it's like you don't really want to grip that because you're going to slip off. So it's kind of interesting in terms of the placements of where you're going to grip onto. And it's slippery, obviously. Like it's not grooved or anything like that. So and once again, it's springy. So once you catch yourself, it's not like it's stationary. Once you catch yourself, it's gonna go down on you, which is also gonna be very difficult. I mean, that's one thing that I don't think a lot of people got a good sense of, probably from the ninjas, because they're so talented, they're able to catch themselves. But man, in particular that third one, because it's a big like distance. From the second to the third little lache bar thing. But not only that, it's a drop. So there's a lot of weight going downwards, and then it's positioned downwards, and it's going to spring and kind of like bounce on you. I mean, that's a lot you have to hold up and catch with that.
Yeah, it's got to be taxing on your arms too, right? Like that's a lot when it's bouncing around and everything. It's got to be taking an extra toll. It's not just swinging on a bar. It's that bounce and everything else has to be kind of wearing you down a little more.
In particular with your grip, right?
Yeah, and then we have the diamond dash, which is whatever. It's just a balance obstacle that's not really worth mentioning. But the spin hopper, I feel like
Oof.
Probably some of the struggles we saw in that were really exacerbated by this spring forward.
Yeah, definitely. And once like this obstacle, I remember I was raving about it. I forget if it was last season or season 9. I think it was last season. That looks so difficult, man. Like it's one of those obstacles once again that like the ninjas make it look way easier than it is. That thing looks insane, man.
Yeah, especially the fact that they spin, right? On the spin hopper, it's one thing to if they were all stationary, I feel like they would all have it down relatively easy. It would still be tough, but they would make it look, kind of easy. It's the fact that you have to time it so perfectly. And then there's a couple of people that, end up nudging that last spin hopper, so then they have to try to get it back into place so they can grab it. It's got a lot going on.
Oh yeah. Crazy, and you can't even wrap all your fingers around it because they're so large. You have to keep your palms open, which makes it even that more taxing on your fingers. And as you said, some people have to like kind of just go for like jump off that obstacle in the second to last one. And when they're foregoing that, I mean, the way they land, I'm screaming because the way they land, man, somebody's gonna hurt themselves really bad one of these days.
That's on like every obstacle this episode. Like everybody's coming off the obstacles bent half backwards, scorpioning into the side of it. Is like, ugh. How many injuries, like long-term injuries, were done in this episode that we didn't see anybody carted off in a stretcher?
Man, I do not want to know, but it's more than one. I'll tell you that.
All right, so that's the course. Let's actually talk about some of these runs. We're pretty far in here, and we haven't even talked about a single run yet. I want to get into these ninjas because they were awesome, like right across the board.
Oh yeah.
First on the course was Kevin Mish, the fittest Marine in the world. He won the HIT championship, this crazy 4-day-long obstacle course race that I'm sure Bijan would love to take part in.
Oh, it looked fun. I don't know about taking part because I'm sure there's elements of it that I am like, nope. But hey, it looked really fun, and that looks like no joke in the slightest. So props to this guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive to be a Marine and in the shape that he was in, but to find out that this like worldwide obstacle course competition with the, all the Marines from all these different bases, and he got first place, that's seriously impressive. Normally the first run of the season we have some, like an actor or somebody kind of semi-recognizable or in something that you might know. This dude is just like a straight up top athlete. Mm-hmm. He had a great first run. He's really showing off the obstacles well. He had good technique. He almost took a spill on Walk the Plank, but he ended up landing flat on his back, but he did make it through. But ended up falling on the Diamond Dash, and he practically scorpioned on the other end of the dismount place, the landing pad.
Never looks fun, man. Like, there's one thing I never want to experience in my life. It's being scorpioned on the end of one of those balance obstacles.
And by that we mean like basically folding in half backwards.
Basically having the back of your feet hit your head.
Yeah, does not look good. After him we had Aubrey Wilcher.
Speaking of scorpions.
Yeah, the San Diego yoga teacher, the human pretzel who can crush a tomato between her shoulder blades. She's flexible. She is definitely flexible. But she ended up missing the bar when jumping on Walk the Plank. She just wasn't quite able to get it done. We got to see our first fall on that obstacle, which we saw plenty this episode.
Yeah, it was cool. Introduced the obstacle. Not much to say about it.
Yeah, I'm guessing the next guy you probably do, though.
Yeah! Oh, yeah! Flexington, let's go, son!
Ben Udi, I think it was, a.k.a. Chad Flexington, his wrestling alter ego with the mullet, the stars and stripes. Go, Bijan. What did you think of his persona first?
It was amazing! Like one thing is, I very much am happy they gave it the right amount of time. It wasn't overdone or anything. This guy just seems like he's having fun. This ridiculous mullet, the outfit, he's wearing the shades. He just looks like this crazy, like, Hulk Hogan type character. And, yeah, it actually seems like a really, really cool guy in real life. I'm all about it, man. I hope we see him multiple times. I hope he just, like, chews up all the scenery.
What's funny is, like, I know that name, and I started digging around. I'm like, does he follow us on Twitter? Like, where have I seen that name? And then I realized I saw him like a couple weeks ago. I had followed him on Instagram and was showing somebody at work because the guy is ripped to such a crazy degree.
Ain't that the truth?
That I had noted it like of all, tons of fit ninjas out there. So I mean, it's not unusual, but the build on this guy is absolutely ridiculous. And he seems like a joke competitor in a weird way, right? Because he's so costumed up and so he's hamming it up so much. It's almost seemed like you don't expect him to do well.
Yeah.
But he did amazingly well. Like he ended up bumping that last spin hopper though. Like he had no problems with the rest of the course. He bumps the last spin hopper, got it out of position, and fell when he was trying to adjust it, trying to make it just right at the end of the course. If he had done that, I have no doubt he'd been up the wall and he'd been one of our finishers.
Oh yeah, and he's a showman. Like he was playing with the audience, and not like in a goofy, like a ridiculous way. Like he knew what he was doing. He was very charismatic, and so correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like he actually trains for ANW then, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, because man, like I gotta admit, I had the same perception that you did. Like, oh, he's probably just like this character. I don't know how well he's gonna do on this, but he really surprised me with how talented he was. In particular for his size. I mean, the guy is just jacked to the gills, man. But he did fantastic in terms of technique. I mean, the way he was doing the spin hopper, there is a very particular technique you got to do on the way down. And it's very easy to see people that know what to do and know what not to do. And he was doing the right thing. So I was like, this guy knows what's up. And I was fully expecting him to gut up that warped wall. He didn't make it. He was just like one away on that spin hopper. But man, I mean, I think we're going to see him in the city finals. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm very curious to see how far he gets.
Yeah, I'm almost positive he was far enough, fast enough that we should see him in the finals. Yeah, it was really cool. Speaking of cool, in the fast forwards after this, we had Alex Weber, who did Crashing the Course last year, running the course. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, I like that they parried that respect, and good on Weber, really, honestly. Like, I don't know how much this guy trains, but clearly he has a lot of passion for the sport, and probably he did some training this past year, because it seemed like he had a goal in mind. And I'm sure he's very happy with how well he did. I mean, he did fantastic, man.
Yeah, he went out on spring forward, so he made it to the third obstacle. That's very respectable, especially walked the plank and tricking steps took out half the field, but he was not one of them.
Yeah, that's no easy feat. I mean, if there is one obstacle there, I'm like, nope, that ain't happening for me. It's that one.
When we came back, we had Seth Rogers, a.k.a. Big Red, a Ninja Superfan who just turned 19. They showed him climbing around his house. Kevin Bull and Flip were both talking him up. Dude is 6'3". He is big.
Yeah, he looked... Like, it's weird because he's got a baby face. And I don't mean like baby face like Kid Mawadi. I mean, this guy looks like he's straight out of ANW Junior, man, in terms of the face. But yet, you see his body and he's massive. Absolutely massive. So I was very curious to see how well he'd do on a course like this because it is upper body intensive. But, yeah, I actually have really high hopes for him. Something about where whenever they're talking about like somebody that's been training from a very, very young age, I don't know why. I just like expect more from them, and he didn't let me down.
No, he did really well, especially like for a big guy. I thought he might struggle on, especially spring forward. I thought that might really do him in, but I guess he's got a climbing background, in spite of his size. And I mean, really, once I saw Kevin and Flip talking him up, I was like, all right, I definitely feel like he's gonna go far. He ended up falling on the down slope of Spin Hopper, so very, very deep into the course. Only a few steps away from actually being a finisher. We'll see how he does in the finals, but he's somebody to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, I can definitely see him, if he takes his time, doing a lot better when it comes to some of the more trickier obstacles, just because, he's had to adapt in terms of training and things like that. One thing, though, man, we got to talk about that splash. When he fell, the tidal wave that he created was insane. The water actually hit the camera, and that camera is nowhere close to that course. I mean, that kid, I don't know what happened, but man, did he, all the water must have flooded out of that damn pool, because it was insane.
I feel like I want to go back and look at it now. I missed that. I didn't even clue in.
Oh, man, he must have drenched the whole audience and everything. That's a big hit.
Yeah, for sure. Next up to take the course was David Alvarez, who was separated from his sister, Walissa, back when they were in foster care together. He's hoping that she'll see him do this run. He was 13 and she was 2 when they got separated, and he keeps her pacifier with him. And you know what happened? Like, ANW can't even go through the first episode without making me cry. Like, I 1000% get sucked into this story. I was glued to the set the whole time. And didn't he do the Michael Stanger thing of like, it's supposed to be just an inspirational run, and doesn't dude finish the course and just make me gush? Like, absolutely couldn't believe it. Rookie on the course. He was the first one to beat the spin hopper. Limited ninjas experience. Who cares? You know, all heart, made it all the way. I was all in on this story.
Yeah, I really liked it. It went a little long for me, but and not that that's a problem, I want to say, but it just was. It was getting a little too ham-fisted with the looking out and the things. But the story proper was amazing. I'm really glad that he was able to, I guess, like, open up and share. And honestly, this, as they said, this is for a cause where he's trying to reach out and find his long-lost sister. And I have to imagine, like, everybody on the show and himself hopes that, you know, she does reach out and finds him. It's a little tricky because she was so young in foster care that most likely she has a different age at this, or sorry, a different name at this point. So not necessarily him looking for her name is going to find results. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was worried about too. So I mean, the name stands out, right? Who's going to... It's like, I wonder if that's the same Walissa that I know.
I mean, maybe, but there's, you know, I'm not sure how many Wallissas are out there. But, I mean, there's a pretty darn good chance that she has a new name. And at such a young age, I just don't know how much she remembers of him. So I just really hope that she sees him, and with whatever the case is, you know, like, oh, I'm a foster child, I had a brother at one point, and, you know, makes that connection. I really hope we find out maybe a little while from now, a few weeks, whatever it is, maybe next season, that they were able to reconnect, because what an amazing story that would be.
Yeah. We had some fast forwards after that. And when we came back, we had Flip Rodriguez going in the middle of the show, which kind of made me nervous. Whew. But at the same time, I was like, there's a lot of stars in LA. Maybe he could be the first finisher. Let's see how he did.
Yeah. This was... Well, why don't you go over what happened?
So he had a good pace going. He was looking solid. Nice long hair for a movie role that he's doing. Made it to the walls. I'm like, all right. And he's going for the mega wall. Here we go. And he missed it. And I thought, ooh, like, didn't even get that close. I thought, okay, so he didn't really plant his feet where he needed. He misjudged, right? Like, okay, so, you know, he'll reset. He'll sort it out. I had all the faith in the world. We've seen him do essentially the mega wall in the skills challenge before. So I'm like, you know what? If anybody's going to do this, he will.
Yeah, he broke the darn record in the skills challenge a few years ago.
Yeah, so Flip's got this. Second, he misses it again. Not really that close either. It's not like he's getting his fingertips on it. And then that was when I was like, okay, so here's where it is. If someone's going to do it on the third attempt, like maybe the first person out here trying this mega wall is going to prove my point, and it's going to be Flip. And no, he missed on his third time. And then I went, oh, I may have been very wrong on this whole someone's going to do it in 3 tries.
Yeah. I mean, man, it's one of those things where going into this episode, I would have guaranteed 2 people made it up that mega wall. Adam Rayl and Flip Rodriguez. Those are the 2. No matter whatever else, those are the 2 that are making it up. And Flip got that chance, and I was stunned that he couldn't do it, but who knows what happened. Maybe he just didn't have the proper technique, or whatever the case was. I mean, he seemed like everything was done correctly. Oh, I feel for him, man, because if there's one person that probably has a confidence knowing that they can do it, it's Flip. And that must really suck for him.
So let's think about this for a second, because I am racking my brain a little bit on this. when we saw the wall in the skills challenges before, they just kept inserting like a flat segment to raise up the wall. It's not that the whole thing curved out more, right? It was just going up higher.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Do you think that
Like,
could have
they-
messed
they
up? He's
didn't-
expecting it to kind of be curved in the same way, and it was offset from the way he expected it.
I'll have to relook at what the mega wall looks like, because the skills challenge wall, what it is they raise up kind of the very, not the last portion, but like close to the last portion where there is a lip, but the lip doesn't go more and more inward, you know? So they raise kind of that middle portion.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's a very good point. It could be just a very different looking warped wall type of thing.
Yeah, and somebody that hasn't experienced it before wouldn't have that mindset in their head, I guess, right? They're not expecting one thing and getting another. They don't know what to expect. They're just gonna approach it like they would approach a different wall. I don't know. Totally armchair ninjaing, but I mean that's what we were here to do. But we had some fast forwards after this. One of them was Anna Shoemaker, who I thought was going to go really far this season. I was very disappointed to see she went out on Walk the Plank.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then when we came back, we had a fast forward of Tiana Weberly, another one who went out on Walk the Plank. Two of the strongest women in the show ended up going out early. It was very, very disappointing.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like my fiance Sarah, she was stunned by Tiana Weberly because she thought that Tiana would go very, very far. I don't know if I've ever said it on the podcast, but there's always that story where we were at Arnold Hernandez's gym and we were doing some training and Tiana was there and and Sarah did not know who Tiana was, and I'm like, yeah, Tiana's like one of the top female ninjas, and Sarah's just sizing Tiana up like, oh, I'm as strong as her, all this stuff, and I'm like, you may be as like strong as her, but you aren't as talented as her. I love you, but you ain't. And then she was like seeing Tiana do like all this crazy stuff. She's like, yeah, it's going to be a while till I get to that extent. So she was pretty surprised because she thinks the world of her.
Yeah, I think we all do. Like, she's fantastic. And then we're not going to get to see her move on this year, I guess. That sucks.
Yeah, so I know a lot of female ninjas did fall on that obstacle, though. That wasn't the cutoff, though. It was the third obstacle, I'm guessing?
She wasn't one of the 5 that moves on, no.
Oh, that sucks, man. Well, we didn't talk about last week, but it sounds like the wild card is coming back. Is that true?
I don't know. There was some tweets about that. I hope not. And I know a lot of people were fans of it, and will be happy to see it back. That would be the one rule change I don't want to see come back.
Yeah, it just causes too much drama. I know 100% why, though. I mean, when you look at last season, there was a certain, how do I say this, first grand champion that didn't make it because he fell in the city finals, and I'm sure they don't want that again.
But yeah,
I mean, Jeff Britton and Isaac Caldiero, Drew Dreschel, Joe Morosky, those names in particular, whether they fall or not, they're going to the city finals. Or sorry, the national finals. And they're going to be wild cards if this is true.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, that takes away not just from the overall season and the skill level required to get there, shows unnecessary favoritism. It also gives them an unfair advantage. If you're Drew Dreschel, who is already insanely fast, you can completely go all out in the qualifier. What do you care? You're going to get wild carded in anyway, so you can just go all out, and if you fall, whatever.
Oh yeah, completely agree. It's unfortunate, but I understand why it's happening. I do. At the end of the day, this is a television show.
But we don't have confirmation on that, do we? Like, I don't think we have anything official that says that.
Yeah, I haven't heard any confirmations. I guess it's all speculation at this point. Probably because, everybody heard about there's like less people going on to the finals. So maybe we're just like talking for no reason at this point. We'll see. But yeah, that is something to keep an eye out for, I guess.
Yeah. When we came back, we had Samantha Bush, an occupational therapist from San Diego, whose dad died when she was 14. The story was very much about her mother working hard to raise her 4 daughters and give them all the opportunities in the world. Very nice story.
Yeah, it was cool.
she ended up falling on the fourth obstacle last year and made it to city finals. I don't remember her for some reason.
Really? They said that. I don't remember that either. I kind of feel bad.
Yeah. And here she comes along, and she's the first woman to beat Spring Forward and then the Diamond Dash and made it to the second to last spin hopper. She almost beat. I thought she was going to beat the whole thing the way she was going. Like, very impressive run. Yeah,
this was awesome. I mean, really surprised me. And the whole time, I don't know why, but I was like, I guess because at this point, I didn't see the female ninjas doing, I shouldn't say all female ninjas, but like a female ninja that I don't recognize, so to speak, right? And the fact that she was getting through these and doing them actually very well, I was surprised over and over and over again. And I was really getting into a run. And I thought like there was a good chance we'd see her on the warped wall, and I would have been like ecstatic if that happened. With that said, she's got to be so proud of herself.
Yeah, she has grip strength for days. Like her technique and stuff was good, but it was so slow paced, right? It seemed like she was destined to fall there soon, but she just kept going. Like she just seemed to hang there forever. Very, very impressive. I'd love to. I hope she can do it in the city finals. I hope she gets through and manages to get the wall. After her, though, David Campbell, the oldest competitor of the night.
Let's go, son!
41 years old, and he's the oldest? What? He's just a young guy. Like, what do you mean he's the oldest?
Yeah, he's the oldest, man. This is a young person's sport.
That's sad. I'm older than every single person that ran the course.
Yeah.
Anyway, soon to be grandfather here, I guess. I gotta accept it. But the Godfather was the one actually on the course and looking very smooth and efficient, gunning for that fastest time, which he got with a 1:35 finish. Very, very impressive. Like, his whole run was just smooth as silk. Like, no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was very happy to see him not only make it, but get the fastest time. And good on him. He played the smart route because I'd have to look back, but I don't remember him being known for his explosiveness. So I don't know how well he'd do on the Omega Wall. Maybe he'd do great. I just don't know. But for him, I think it was a lot smarter to go for the speed run. In particular, if you really want to know about the politics of the show, hey, we haven't really seen him shown on the show all this much. This is kind of him forcing their hand, being like, oh, you're gonna dedicate some time to me because now I'm in that speed run.
Yeah, very, very happy to see that. I know a lot of old Ninja Warrior fans are very happy to see that too.
My favorite Ninja Warrior.
After him, we had Brian Burke, the Burkinator, an autistic guy who started gymnastics when he was young and just infectious on the course. It took me a minute. I will admit it. I was not on board right away, but as he went, he just completely drew me in. Very, very enthusiastic, pointing and jumping the whole way down the course.
Yeah, it was it was kind of goofy at first, right? And I think it's just because we don't see people act like this. But that's one thing that makes him so engrossing and so charming. I was very, very happy for the kid. And as you kind of alluded to, his energy and happiness was infectious. And I was over the moon for him. Also, we got to talk about his mom for a second. What? Man, that hair, that outfit, everything. Like, I want to know her story. Wow, that was like his mom was awesome, dude.
Yeah, she was a character. The whole situation was really interesting. Definitely drew you in. And on top of everything else, he's a great ninja. Here he is, like, he makes it to the spin hopper. I'm like, okay, well, here we go. Like, he's doing really well, and he ends up beating that. That was when my jaw dropped. And he was able to get the wall in his second attempt and then does the splits on the top of the wall. Just totally owned the whole course. Got the crowd involved. Got Matt and Akbar very involved. Like, the whole thing was great.
Yeah, the splits at the top of the warped wall is the icing on the cake. It was so ridiculous to a ridiculous run. It was perfection.
Very, very happy for you, Brian Burke. I hope you hear this. The Burkinator is definitely someone to keep an eye on.
Go Burkinator, man.
We had some fast forwards after that. Rebecca Bonilla went out on the Diamond Dash.
Like, what? Just think about that, y'all. Rebecca Bonilla fell on the Diamond Dash. Diamond Dash, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, at least we're going to see her move on. But, I mean, she's one of the top female ninjas, in my opinion. I'm floored. I would have for sure seen her on the Warped Wall, I felt like. Out of all the things, the Diamond Dash, I think Diamond Dash is incredibly hard. I'm fearful of all those balance obstacles. But in this episode, at least the way it presented it, it looked like a lot of the ninjas weren't having a hard time on that. Man, sucks.
They also fast-forwarded Arnold Hernandez getting his first buzzer, which I'm glad they showed it. I was so happy for him. Man, they shouldn't have fast-forwarded that, though.
I mean, when you really think about it, one of the guys that have dedicated pretty much his entire life to ANW, I mean, he runs MLab, I believe it's called, in LA. I mean, I trained with him. The guy is so incredibly passionate about the sport and everything. And they fast-forward his, like, probably a major milestone in his life. I'm glad at the very least that he got to see it in a fast forward. But I mean, let's be real. I should not have gotten as much, the same amount of airtime that he's gotten when I fall on the second obstacle and he makes it through the entire thing.
Yeah. I guess it's hard to nitpick. This is a really solid episode. I didn't feel like they really hammed it up with anyone. I feel like everything was pretty good. So I guess, but man,
yeah,
very happy
at the end of the day, I hope we get to see him in the city finals, and of course we will. I mean, more time dedicated. But there's so many strong personalities, as you said, not much wiggle room.
Yeah, after him, we actually had Cheyenne Arrington, a rookie from Paradise, California, cliff diver, and her entire town burnt down in 4 hours. This must hit home for you, especially.
Yeah, this actually, this story connected with me a lot. The fact that Cheyenne, we see this beautiful, and I mean beautiful city that she lives in, aproposly called, paradise, because it literally looks like paradise. And I really like the way that they showed this, because they're showing all these beautiful vistas, her jumping off the cliffs, the water is beautifully clear, all this cool stuff. And then you see the small town and everybody's happy. And then all of a sudden, wipe. And everything's just burnt to the ground. I mean, that is just devastating. And I lived that. And we didn't have fires in part of San Diego that I was in. But we've had fires, mini fires in San Diego. And I remember during that time that they're talking about, there was actually, it was actually raining ash all the way down here in San Diego from the LA fires. I mean, it just travels so much. And it's just devastating. It can be felt. And I don't know if it's because of my proximity to it, but it really connected with me. I felt so horrible for her and everybody in that town. And it really, really connected with me. And I wish it was under better circumstances, but Cheyenne Arrington, I hope I said that name right. You get the visually profound video of the night.
Yeah, it was... I don't relate to it as much because we don't have, wildfires here really. We get a lot of flooding and freezing.
Frostbite fires or something?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you guys got?
They can't set the ice on fire. Eventually we're going to have summer here, but that's a whole other story.
For 1 day of the year.
Yeah. There will be shorts eventually. She ended up falling on Walk the Plank. I actually thought she was going to go pretty far. Because of the big segment. I guess it was more about the segment in her case and her personality. She was very, very upbeat considering everything that had happened. And she ended up going out on Walk the Plank, which was disappointing.
Very personable. And I must say, I know some people will be like, "Oh, you're a hypocrite, Bijan," because sometimes you call people out for having long segments and failing on the first two obstacles. In this one, I'm cool. To the editors and producers' credits, we didn't have a lot of stories or long segments where people fail on the first two obstacles. 1 or 2 per episode, I'm perfectly fine with that. And what an incredible story it had to be told.
Yeah. After her, we had Adam Rayl, whose mom, Vicky, was an absolute wreck in the sidelines, watching him as always.
I love his mom and Adam Rayl, but Vicky Rayl is a national treasure, y'all.
I don't even know what to say about this run. This is the one I think that my wife commented on when I was downstairs a little bit ago. She's like, I said something about recording. She goes, I know, I heard you gasping upstairs. I'm pretty sure it was this one. Yeah, he ended up falling on the second to last spin hopper. They gave him so much, like even in the little pre-segments before everything, like there was so much Adam Rayl in this episode. I was so excited. I was like, oh, this is his year. He must just crush it. I know he can crush it. He's going to be in the final. He's going to win the power tower. Like just everything was pointing to that, and he ends up falling on the spin hopper. They totally got me.
Hey, don't sleep on Adam Rayl. It could still be his year, man. I mean, this guy, he's one of the best, if not the best right now. He's no joke, but things happen. And sucks. I hate that it happened to him. And I just know how much this stuff. I mean, you see the disappointment in his face. And what's crazy is he kind of looks older than he actually is. He's a young dude. So I just hope, he takes some solace in the fact that he is making it to the city finals at the very least. And maybe we'll get redemption. Heck, maybe this will be a blessing in disguise and he can go for what I think is the really OP'd advantage in the what's its name? The something pass, like the other one. What was it called, Rich? You know the stuff.
Safety pass.
Safety pass, thank you. Yeah, that safety pass is super OP. So, I mean, if he can get that, that is smooth sailing for him, man.
All he has to do is beat the next person on the course, Hunter Guerard. We had a great segment here with Hunter Guerard and friend of the podcast, Kyle Soderman.
The homies, man. Yeah, this was fantastic. And I appreciate the fact that it was kind of a segment for both. And once again, we love, or at least myself, I love these really fun rivalries where they're friends, but they're competing for the fastest time or something else. I mean, these are always super fun, and it's a great way to get both people shown on the show.
Yeah, nothing wrong with this segment at all. Loved every bit of it. Hunter's fantastic. He is on my fantasy team, so that makes me even more happy. He was flying through it as we knew he could. He ended up missing the wall in the first attempt, and my jaw dropped. Like, I did not see that coming. But he still managed to beat David Campbell's time after a second attempt on the wall. He beat it by less than 2 seconds.
Yeah, crazy. And also, I didn't know how short he was. Like, I think they said he was 5'7". Smaller dude. I don't know. I always pictured him bigger, but very, very fast for his size, I gotta say.
Yeah, that's a pretty average. That's a good ninja size. That's the size that some of the best ninjas are at.
Honestly, that's true. I mean, one thing I always say is when I meet most ninjas, first thing I'm shocked by is let's just say I'm taller than them.
Right.
by quite a difference. I mean, there's always the taller ninjas. Flip in particular always surprised me because he kind of looks like he'd be shorter, but he's actually my height and 5'11". So you just never know. Television is weird.
Yeah, Hunter's actually a little taller than me, so I don't think he's that short. Kyle Soderman, though, after him, works as a dinosaur at Universal. I love that they called him a beast. Like that, as soon as they said that, I started laughing.
I did not catch that, but that's quite cheeky. For those of you that don't know, Kyle Soderman made it to the finals of Ultimate Beastmaster. Absolutely amazing. He's everything you want from him. He's good looking, super charismatic, super talented, everything around. And now that he's on ANW proper, don't sleep on this guy, y'all. Oh boy, Hunter Guerard and Kyle Soderman, these guys are the real deal.
Yeah, we get to see that in full force here. He was flying through the course, easily could have taken the fastest time, but instead chose to do the Meg Wall. I should have seen that coming. Really should have seen that coming.
I didn't, honestly, and it was one of those things where he flew too close to the sun, man, because he wanted it all. He wanted everything to just rub in Hunter Guerard's face.
That's okay. It is what it is, right? So he gets his fingertips on his first attempt, but wasn't able to do it. For a second, it looked like he might have it all. He might actually get the fastest time and the mega wall all in one. That would have been very, very cool.
Hey, I mean, if he were to do it, though, bro, like, that is some historic stuff.
Yeah, in this region at that, LA, of all places, to do that.
But not just that. Think about this. He gets the mega wall, gets the fastest time, goes on to the finals, and if he beats Hunter Guerard and gets that speed pass also, dude, that is like legendary status right there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. He ended up missing it the other 2 times as well, meaning that he does move on. He definitely went far enough, fast enough, but does not get the speed pass.
Yeah, maybe you'll get the safety pass. I mean, that's pretty cool, the 2 friends. But either way, I think we're going to see this type of rivalry and funness between them continue.
With some fast forwards after that, which included Brian Kretsch getting the buzzer, which was good for him.
Yes.
I got to say, to anyone from ANW listening, when you have these fast swords, can you always put the name up there, please? I had to go look it up later because they didn't put it up on the screen. Danelle Leyva, an Olympian, was one of the fast forwards who actually hit the buzzer. And I was like, what is the guy's name? I had to go look it up on ANW Nation. Thankfully, that was all posted there. Thank you, Nikki. That was very helpful.
Yeah, I got to say, that's the one that stood out the most to me. I mean, I know I'm very aware of quite a few of the fast forwards, and I was very happy they were on the show and everything else. But that one, I mean, he's an Olympian, I believe a 2-time Olympian, super talented, all these credentials and all this, has all of the promise in the world, and he actually completes the course, and he's fast-forwarded. I mean, if there is one person where it's on nobody's radar, but you better believe he needs to get on everybody's radar, it's this guy. So, I'm not going to criticize too much because maybe we're going to find out his whole backstory and a whole lot more about him in these city finals.
It's a good chance.
Man, I mean, if there's somebody where I perked up when just hearing the credentials, I'm like, what? Whoa, did you just say Olympic gymnast 2 times? One medals also and all this stuff? Let's go back to that guy because this is somebody we need to pay attention to, big time.
Yeah, I would say
gymnastics. Oh, sorry, just very quick. Gymnastics in rock climbing, in particular, mean a whole lot to ANW in terms of a background that you want. And I will say gymnastics are even more important than rock climbing when it comes to the qualifying courses.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And I think we can pretty much count on him having a full segment in the final scores.
Man, we got to. We have to.
But what we did have, who did have a full segment, was Scott Wilson, the former chess ninja, now long shirt name having guy who bruised 3 vertebrae on the balance obstacle last year, but was able to beat it this time.
Wait, let's go. I'm sorry to cut you off. Why don't we go back to how he bruised it? That might have been the nastiest dang scorpion I've ever seen.
Yeah, you generally don't want to step on your own head. It doesn't seem like something you should be attempting to do.
It wasn't even stepping on your own head. It was leg kicking your own head. He twisted in a complete circle where, I mean, his feet might have punched him in the throat again. It was nasty, dude.
Yeah, I vaguely remember from last year. I kind of look away because that's, of all the falls we see and all the things that happen, that's the one that bothers me the most was when they do that. It's nasty.
And yeah, in cases like these, we don't hear the repercussions. We just see it and we're like, oh, we hope he's okay, but that looked disgusting. I mean, this is one where he really had some serious injuries, and spinal injuries are no joke. I mean, that could be lifetime traumatic repercussions.
Thankfully, it wasn't. Well, it doesn't seem to be anyway, because he did fantastic this year. After having bruised 3 vertebrae last year, he ended up beating the entire course, including the mega wall. He's never hit a buzzer before. Dude opts for the mega wall and gets it on his first attempt, and is the only person to beat the mega wall this episode.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I was super happy for him. He actually trains at the I believe teaches at the M Lab in LA. I'm pretty sure I've seen him there.
Yeah, I think
I've only been there once or twice, but I'm pretty sure I saw him. I never interacted with him though, so I can't speak to that. But he seems like a very, very fun guy, very good with children. It seems. I mean, I'm all for this guy. Seems like a great personality. And let's just say if they didn't introduce a particular type of run later on in this episode, he would be getting the Athletically Profound Run of the Night. But alas, I'm sorry, my man, I can't give it to you because something else even more awesome is coming up.
All right. So then a little segment on the walk-on-line lottery system, which is something we didn't get into last week in our preview.
Yeah.
I don't think. So the walk-on-line having a lottery really changes up the type of competitors we saw on the course. And I thought we would get a bunch, or at least a couple of more goofy early falls. We kind of got a little montage of them here. But no, they didn't really ham it up this way they did in earlier seasons, which is good.
It's interesting. I really like the fact that they showed the walk-ons getting chosen, because that has to be such an emotional thing. And I'm really, I guess, happy that they showed that vulnerability and emotion that was involved with being chosen and not chosen. And I hope that continues moving forward. I know it kind of sucks. Maybe some people would argue it's taking advantage of the circumstances, right? But I don't know. I really connected with that emotion. In particular, I forget his name, but the guy that waited, like 40 days last season and things like that. And he was actually chosen. And for me, I instantly, just in that one, like maybe few seconds of saying that and seeing him crying on Over the Moon that he was chosen again, to then immediately seeing him fall on, I believe, the second obstacle. I mean, that was such a roller coaster of emotions for me, where I was rooting for him all the way. And I hate that happened. But I'm at least glad that he got that chance.
Yeah, he totally drew me in as well. But of the walk-ons, there was only two. Well, I should say only, but there were two that made it into the top 30. That being Steven Barbarito and Austin Siebert. So congratulations to both you on moving on to the finals.
Yeah. I mean, I have to look. I have to imagine the ratio, or whatever you want to say, is typically higher in previous seasons for walk-ons making it through. But I don't know that I'm upset, or at least right now I'm not upset. Maybe I'll look back after this whole season and be like, oh man, more talented ninjas could have had the chance. But I'm honestly really cool with the lottery. I think it gives a lot more ninjas that don't have the means to camp out for weeks on end. It gives them a chance to actually be on the show. So I'm really cool with it. Just by default, we're going to get less people doing well from the walk-ons, because, the range of, I guess, skill and everything else you want to say about it is going to be a lot more mixed up. But to this point, I'm still really cool with it. Did this sway your opinion anyway, Rich?
No, and actually hearing you say that out loud just made something occur to me, because I thought the same thing, that, it's going to lower the talent pool a little bit, right? But in a way it doesn't, because it also opens up that possibility of people who don't have the spare time. It's not that it takes skill to wait in the walk-on line, it takes time, right? So we could have some extremely talented ninjas that just couldn't devote that time before, who may win the lottery, to get in. So we could see something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, when you think back to, in particular, I think Joe Moravsky and a gentleman named Jeff Britton, those two guys had jobs. They couldn't, if they weren't chosen to be on the show, they wouldn't be able to be on the walk-on line for weeks on end. They just couldn't, because they had jobs. And if I remember correctly, I forgot which one it was. I think it might have been Jeff Britton or something like that. But one of them had to take an L in terms of their jobs because they forgoed, I guess, a work engagement for being on the show.
I don't remember that now. I can't remember.
I have to look back, but it might not have been one of them. But it was a well-known ninja that, got in a lot of trouble, and I think might have been fired because he chose to be on American Ninja Warrior. It happened a few seasons ago, man. Let us know on Twitter, because I'm sure somebody knows.
Yes, somebody does for sure. Probably on YouTube. The YouTubers are really, really on top of things, always correcting and sending in some great information every time we post an episode. I really appreciate it, actually.
Shout out to the YouTube crowd, man. I mean, most of our listens are from downloads and everything, but hey, we always got our special place in our heart for the YouTube crowd. You streamers, we love you.
Yeah, actually, on a related note, we celebrated our 100,000 download milestone a couple of episodes ago, And when I went back and looked, I realized that the YouTube downloads have not been factored into those numbers. We passed that a while ago.
Yeah, I'm sure. It was probably just like some lame, like episode where we're like, whatever, what's up?
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, YouTube community, for boosting us by about 25% or so. I think we're up there a little bit further.
Yeah. And sorry, because it's just replaying on my phone. Greg Schwartz, the guy that, was very emotional during the walk-ons and everything. Shout out to you, man. A lot of passion for the show, and definitely deserve to get a shout out.
But the king of all walk-ons, really. I mean, I don't know if it would consider it him or Nicholas Coolidge. One of them, probably Kevin Bull. Kevin Bull.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but Kevin Bull gets it.
Yeah. He took the course. He almost fell on the spring for it. Really kind of gave me a little bit of a shock there. Does a no-look reverse mount to the top of the spin hopper. That was very impressive.
That was dope.
But he was just a tad too slow. He did finish the course, but just like a couple seconds shy of getting one of the top two spots.
So I feel bad because I really like Kevin Bull. He's a great guy. I've interacted with him in real life and everything. Fantastic guy. I gotta admit, I was rooting for David Campbell the whole time. He's my favorite Ninja Warrior, man. It's like he's the OG. It's just the perfect story. So I was like, Kevin Bull, get it, but man, just be a little bit slower, bro. Come on, just give me this one win. Just give me this one. And I feel like he was there, like he was like, I got you, bro. I got you. I'll go like 2 seconds a little bit slower. It's all good. But yeah, I'm super happy for Kevin Bull. Awesome guy. There was this really funny Instagram post from Matt Eisman where one of Kevin Bull's, I don't know if we call him kids or, like one of his fans with alopecia. By the way, I have alopecia. Shout out to everybody. Not the same though. I have male pattern baldness. It's kind of different, but still technically alopecia. Sorry to this kid. Matt Eisman actually signed this kid's bald head, and there are various other ninjas that signed the head. And it was just the most adorable photo I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God.
Shout out to that kid, man.
That's fantastic. Yeah, so that meant for the Power Tower, though, we had Hunter Guerard versus David Campbell.
I love it. Love it.
You look at the core. Look at who's running in LA. We have Adam Rayl and Flip Rodriguez and all these speed demons. And this is, Hunter's known for going fast, I guess, to be fair. But David Campbell, that is fantastic.
David Campbell, man, the guy that always could. He's the OG. From I believe season 1, if not season 2, but he was one of the most top pronounced ninjas from the beginning, the most dedicated ninja from season 3, building his own course, really taking it all in. He is the guy, and he kind of swayed in I don't know, seasons 7 through 10, where everybody's kind of looking him over, being like, he's that guy, kind of like the baseball cap guy in Sasuke. But, I don't know what he's going to do. Well, guess what, y'all? Guess what? David Campbell is still the homie. He's still the guy. He's got it. Let's go, son. Oh, my gosh, I love him. When you think about it, he came back last year. He won Sasuke Vietnam or Ninja Warrior Vietnam, whatever you want to call it. He was the man. Then he comes in this season, and he is the fastest guy in the LA Qualifiers, one of the hardest qualifying regions available, and he gets the fastest time or second, whatever you want to call it. He makes it to that last point. And then we have old school with David Campbell, the epitome of old school, versus new school with Hunter Guerard, one of the fastest people from the new school of ninjas, right? With his new approach and everything. I love it. And they go to war, son. War!
So I take it from all of that you gave David a good shot at winning it.
I didn't say that. when you break down this Power Tower, I gotta admit, from they kept saying the most daunting obstacle and all that. I'm like, it does not look that daunting, man. I don't know what it is, but it looks all right.
Really?
Well, just the visual, I just see a tower with 2 pools. I thought they were gonna climb it and then go back down it. I didn't realize all that's a part of it. But when they really broke down everything with it, I was like, this is dope. And oh man, this looks very, very tiring. I don't know how a 41-year-old man's going to do against a very, very young, sprightly guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that too, and I was shocked. Like I knew he is fast. I knew he was perfectly capable. We've seen him 100 times do really well. But like you said, Hunter is like sickeningly fast and like very much younger. And I thought would have the stamina edge maybe. But man, oh man, they both went all out, just flat out through the whole thing. Fantastic run. I enjoyed every bit of that. And came right down to the wire. Hunter ended up winning in the end by just a second or two. Like it was a really, really good race. Really showed what that power tower is going to bring to the season. I loved it.
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, I love the fact that it kind of it uses all different types of fitness. One thing that I always criticize about Stage 4 in particular, but all just in general, is that they kind of go too much into different aspects of, talents. Like, oh, this thing is pretty much all rock climbing or grip strength or whatever. This one, it starts with you having to have agility, jumping up 5 feet sections of wall, and then you have to, do some climbing. Then you have to use some balance. Then you have to do some laches or gymnastics. Like there's all variety of different talents. I mean, if a rock climber is on this, yeah, they might do well, or they might slip during that whole balance obstacle portion. You just never know. It ain't as easy as it looks, and it uses a variety of talents. I love it. And, man, for me, Hunter, like, great guy, very, very fast, but I gotta admit, I was so impressed by David Campbell. And he gave it his all. He was actually, like, it went back and forth, because David Campbell went past Hunter Guerard in the balance portion, but then Hunter Guerard used a faster technique climbing up the pole, and it all went down to the laches. And man, I really like the fact that they broke it down where it was just like, it was literally a difference between David Campbell grabbing one of the lache bars with both hands and Hunter Guerard just using one-handed swings from one to another. It was literally that much of a difference. And yeah, I mean, how cool is that, dude? No, shocker to nobody. I kind of already told everyone, but this one, the athletically profound run of the night. Congratulations, Hunter Guerard and David Campbell. What a fantastic, fantastic run. It's kind of a cheat. I promise y'all, I'm not going to make every single power tower thing the athletically profound run of the night, but at least for the initial one, it's got to go to it.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to get races this good in every city. Like this was a great demonstration of the whole thing. So yeah, both of them did a fantastic job. There's a couple other people I want to shout out here who did not get shown at all, not even in fast forward as far as I could see. Selena Laniel fell on the shrinking steps, unfortunately.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, that sucks.
This is going to be the depressing part of the episode, huh? Where I have to hear all these names where it's like, oh, they fell in the first obstacle. I'm like, oh, my heart.
Well, here's the thing. I thought there's a bunch of people missing. Who I assume all ran in Washington, Tacoma, right? Some of the West Coast Ninjas decided to go north later in the season. Because otherwise, where the heck is everybody?
Well, that's the one thing that I was going to say that I'm actually very happy about. I forget when it was, but at some point later on in the episode, they break down each region with probably like the top ninja, and they really spread it out because pretty much every ninja shown in that graphic was usually a hallmark for LA qualifiers. And I said the LA region was always way too stacked. Like now they have Jesse Graff in a different region, also Grant McCartney in a different region, and of course Joe Morosky, Jeff Britton, like people like that, all different regions. We don't have to worry about everybody competing against each other. And I really like the fact that it's a lot more spread out. Because I remember, man, last season and the season before that, there was like 1 or 2 regions where like, it's a little light in the well-known ninjas, so to speak.
Yeah. You need some star power in every region.
Yeah.
So 2 other ones that I want to bring up. Benjamin Humphreys went out on Walk the Plank, and I don't know if you remember him or not.
Describe him for me. I recognize the name,
he was the haircut ninja, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Wow, he's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he fell early, huh?
Yeah, he did. As did Anthony Trucks, who I know you remember.
Trucks, man. Really, he fell.
Yeah,
Trucks
he
is
fell
dope.
and spring forward.
He is. That is a specimen of a man, dude.
That's a big giant of a man. But yeah, those are the ones that stood out to me. So hopefully some of these other ones we'll get to see run in the other regions. But I had to go back and check because I am keeping a close eye on who is the contenders for the Invisible Ninja Award, the Stealthiest Ninja Award for Stage 5 this year.
Yeah, you're gonna have to fill us all in because obviously we will not know. Hey, I just realized, did Nicholas Coleridge run in this region?
No, and from what I've heard, he is injured and did not run this year.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
God, I gotta say that guy's Instagram is the best, the best.
Yeah, and I don't know if Sean Bryan did or not. I heard something that he might not have run as well. They showed him in this.
Well,
and
they said he was
running another season in another region. So maybe
they
they're
would
wrong.
not put that. I mean, I guess they could put that and then make it like a big shock factor that he can't run. But man, that's got to be so hard. I mean, last year he ran in the LA region, so my hopes, I guess, is that they gave him time to heal. But
yeah, it could be, or maybe I misinterpreted. Somebody said that he was injured, but Joe was injured and ran, so maybe it was something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know Sean Bryan had a foot injury, if I remember correctly. He had a cast on his foot, or a boot on his foot. But from all indications, it sounded like he would be able to run, at least in one of the later regions.
Well, that is it for this week. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151. I can actually look at my social media now because I was in Hawaii and was not about to get spoiled. So look forward to replying to all your guys' comments.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening and have a wonderful week.
Peace, love, and deuces, y'all. ANW is back. ANW is back. ANW is back. D.